put it this way, I think Mike Norvell is going to have a statue if we're lucky enough to have him. Statue, at least 3 national titles. If he doesn't get the Dallas Cowboys job in a few years.
Hey guys, it's Terrence Nan. You're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noel Game Day. Go Noles.
Hey, what's up? This is Peter Ward, aka P-Dub, in the house. We're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noel Game Day. Go live, go Noles.
Hi, this is Charlie Ward, and you're listening to Hear the Spear. Go Noles.
This is Terrell Buckley. You're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noel Game Day. No Bloody.
But perhaps better known as the greatest corner to ever step on a football field, Deion Primetime Sanders.
Great Deion Sanders, my brother. What's going on, man? I could wake up to that greeting every day, man. That was awesome.
Hello, Noles fans. This is former Seminole Derek Brooks, and you're listening to Hear the Spear, presented to you by Noel Game Day.
James Wilder Jr. What's going on, James?
Thanks for having me on. FSOD, Florida State or Die, and go Noles.
William Bar None Floyd.
Gentlemen, what's up?
What's happening, guys? This is Logan from Hear the Spear, presented to you by Noel Game Day. You are listening to our UF recap from the Noel Game Day guys. Our lead writer, Dustin Lewis, is here with us tonight, along with our lead basketball writer, Austin Veazey. We're here to talk about, like I said, the UF game. We're going to talk about the coaching craziness. We also have a special guest from the FSU Twitter. I guess you can call him one of the founding fathers of FSU Twitter. Peej is with us tonight. We will get to that interview here in a few minutes. And we're just going to kind of go over what is happening lately. This has been a wild ride. It's been nuts. Like I always say, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play. You YouTube people, you can go subscribe over there and listen over there. If you're on iTunes, feel free to rate us 5 stars and leave a review. That really helps us a lot. We've seen a lot of growth over there, so thank you guys so much for listening. But I was able to get that introduction done before a minute. You can't get mad at me, Dustin.
Dude, I was getting close.
I almost fell asleep.
Oh my gosh, I got to do the usual stuff. I read that you have to say.
Wait till you ending the podcast is way worse than the beginning.
Nope.
The beginning I can stomach. The ending is way too long.
Well, you know what happens here? This is what you do with cross-promoting to where your podcast is at. You got to talk about where you're at on Twitter, which if you don't know, we're at Hear the Spear. So thank you, Dustin, for reminding me that I missed that in the introduction.
Which, by the way, I've been on this podcast for 2 months, and the podcast still doesn't follow me on Twitter. What is up with this?
we talked about this, Logan.
We did talk about this a month ago.
If Dustin doesn't have login access to that. Or
I'm gonna be honest, I don't have login access.
Oh my God.
I've never been on that Twitter in my life.
We're very unorganized here. Very unorganized.
Hey, who's our leader?
Well, I'll tell you what. Do you want to know what's going on right now with my life and finals and a coaching search and work?
Ooh,
your life ain't nothing special, bro.
Yeah, you were just whining to me yesterday on the phone about how hard your life was. So don't even talk.
I'm over here grinding. My Spanish project partner can't copy paste on a computer, so when you get those kind of problems, I hope she does too. When you get those problems in your life, let me know. I got someone texting me saying, "How do I get my PowerPoint slides with your PowerPoint slides?" Bitch, copy paste.
So right there, that just shows you a lot of terror that Dustin's going through right now in his life. Welcome to finals. So yeah, most of us, Austin has already graduated, but me and Dustin are going through finals right now, and Florida State is going through a coaching surge. And so me and Dustin haven't really slept in pretty much the last 3 weeks, but now with finals going on, we definitely haven't slept whatsoever. So if we sound a little cuckoo for the next 2 podcasts, and that's what's happening, because I guarantee after this coaching search happens, we don't really get any rest either, because it's all about getting analysis on, of course, that coach, his assistant coaches, everything that's involved there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So we're kind of lunatics right now. But yeah, we have a great guest with us. Peej came on and he talked with us from FSU Twitter side. We're going to go over a little bit about the UF game. How about the UF game? How did y'all feel about that? Because I'm glad none of us on here picked Florida State to win. And it was pretty obvious heading into the second quarter that it wasn't going to be close. And Dan Mullen gets his second row in a win against Florida State, and Gainesville.
Second row. You just said his second row in a win.
That right there shows you how much sleep I've had.
Whoa,
that was an impressive flub. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm just thinking, how does your brain do that? That's wow.
PJ Flex on my mind. Row. No, but second win in a row. And we're gonna get to it because we'll get to it. But first analysis from that game, guys. Sorry, I'm losing it now. I'm losing it now. I'm losing it. Analysis.
Yeah, I mean, just first thoughts. I thought it would be a little bit closer. Obviously, I predicted 24-20, but I mean, yeah, that was a bad prediction. Looking back on it, I wanted people to feel good about this game having the potential to be close. But yeah, after that first quarter, with the amount of penalties that Florida State made, the dumb mistakes, I mean, you could just tell that game was going to be a blowout. So, yeah, ugly.
I went into that game, I think I said my prediction was 34-13.
You did
something
great.
along those lines. Yeah, I almost nailed it. I think Florida ended up with 41, 44, something like that.
40.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be an ugly game. I watched the first quarter and then I went back to basketball because that was more important and we actually had a chance of winning. Yeah, I didn't even watch past the second quarter, honestly.
Yeah, Florida State's chances in this game ended probably about the time when it was 7-7 and the offense had to punt. Florida muffed the punt. Florida State recovered, but it was an illegal formation on the punt. Too many guys in the backfield. So whenever that happened, it was just kind of a signal to me that it wasn't going to be FSU's night.
Florida State's chances ended as soon as the ball kicked off.
But when they scored and made it 7-7, did you feel a little bit better?
When
I was like, all right.
Well, they did like 2 trick plays in one drive. I'm like, we can't keep doing this. There's no way. We can't keep doing that all night and not expect them to adapt to it.
Yeah.
I think there was multiple chances too where I think the highlight of these and what happened with Blackman and Tamarion Terry and not being connected where, the last 2 games they'd been connecting very well on deep balls. But the first ball was, I think, was certainly maybe a tad bit overthrown. There was a miscommunication, and Tamarion Terry, we've seen it throughout this whole season, though, where he'll run a route, and he's going deep, and he'll kind of slow up and whatever. Maybe he thinks that Hornibrook's out there, so he doesn't have to run that far. But you got to remember that you have James Blackman out there that has a pretty damn nice arm, strong arm, that can throw it deep. But I mean, Tamarion Terry was eating that secondary up from a good part of the game, and then the second go around, I have no idea who in the hell's fault this is. It's one of the two. It's either Tamarion Terry's fault or it's Keith Gavin's fault. But there's no way 2 wide receivers on one side of the field and the other side be running deep post routes, and you run into each other. Either someone ran the wrong route, someone ran it too far. But I mean, those were 2 post routes that were going in the same direction of each other. So either someone ran the wrong route or, someone ran the wrong route. I don't know. I mean, even if you call the play, it shouldn't be that way. There's no play called for that.
You're trying too hard, man. Keith, you fucked up, bro.
Jeez.
Get out of Tamarion Terry's way.
I don't disagree.
That screwed up a lot of that. But yeah, that could have been a possibility between Blackman and Terry. That could have helped at least give some momentum from Florida State. But once Florida State gets beat down a little bit, I think we've seen the last 2 years you can kind of just keep whooping at them and everything. Definitely knowing Florida State's defense under Harlan Barnett.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
You want me to get to it? You want me to get to it? What we saw on Saturday night in Gainesville on the SEC Network. I noticed it right off the bat, and then I did an Instagram live, and I got some more answers from our great community over there. But from my eyes during the game, I I saw Amari Gaynor at free safety. And Amari Gaynor might be thin. He's still got some weight to put on, obviously, and all that kind of stuff. And he's quick, but that's a weak side defensive end, outside linebacker, if you want to call him, working as a free safety on defense under Harlan Barnett. And from what I was told, I didn't see it with my own eyes, but everybody kept on saying in the chat that Emmett Rice was also back there. And I think, Dustin, you saw it.
That was correct. The one I saw. I didn't see Amari back there because, I mean, honestly, I didn't watch that whole second half. Had better stuff to do on a Saturday night than that. But I was still at my house, though. So I guess I don't have a life.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know what else you think you're going to be doing. But, I mean, I guess Harlan Barnett is already out the door. He's been out the door or whatever. But there was no game planning whatsoever. I mean, Trask had at least probably 10, 15 seconds in the pocket. I mean, it was unbelievable. I know Florida State was without Marvin Wilson, who's going to be an NFL talent soon come here. But I'm sorry, you didn't have anything to get after Trask in his first big true rivalry game against FSU. I mean, there was nothing there. There was no pressure on Trask through the whole entire game. Had no blitz plan. Had Amari Gaynor and Emmett Rice at free safety. If you just want to kind of put it in one word or two words, shit show. And I think FSU fans are ready to send their bye-byes to Harlan Barnett.
We've been saying bye-bye since last season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Logan, to your point, Kyle Trask went 30 out of 41, 343 yards, which is the second highest total yardage he's recorded all season through the air. He had 363 against Vanderbilt. So Florida State gives up 343 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. They didn't sack Kyle Trask. And, you would think if they're not getting pressure on the guy, at least they're covering receivers downfield. But no, I mean, guys were wide open all night. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy how many 4 and 5 stars are in Florida State's defensive backfield and how much they look.
Suck.
Yeah, how much they look like freaking Fresno State.
Well, I think the only good thing coming from that secondary is
Fresno State
Asante
probably
Samuel
looks better.
Jr. Well, yeah, I do give for what it's worth and what kind of coaching he has now. We also got to talk. I mean, notice what kind of coaching that secondary has. I don't know. I mean, what's the kind of coaching that they have? I mean,
they don't.
Yeah, I mean, you're bringing in, I guess.
Harlan Barnett's the defensive backs coach, so I mean,
so you're bringing in nothing.
His defense sucks. His defensive backfield sucks. Can we fire the fucking guy?
Yeah, well, I mean, the only good thing coming out of the secondary, and we were high on him in the spring and the fall, is Asante Samuel Jr. I wish he would have some better coaching, then he would be an elite defensive back. I think we would look at him, but he's, for what kind of coaching he has and the season he's had and what he's been able to work with, whatever, I do think Asante Samuel Jr. is going to have talent. It might not be, as we've seen in the last couple of years at Florida State, it might not be utilized here while it's in Tallahassee, but in the NFL, it will probably blow up. And, it's Florida State has got to find a defensive back coach. And we've had Terrell Buckley on here. You remember, Dustin? And we tried to get him to talk about the Florida State job, and he never said, "Oh no, I wouldn't think about it." Blah blah blah. But he did say, his focus, of course, is Mississippi State. But he did say, if it were to happen that way, then he would love to be in Tallahassee. Of course, this is his home, and this is where he spent most, a lot of his time. And Terrell Buckley would be a gigantic hire for Florida State, and they need it because Florida State is not. I hate to say it, Florida State's not DBU right now. Whatsoever. I mean, not right now. They haven't been for the last couple of years.
It's crazy though because they sure do recruit like it, but the development just hasn't been there. I mean, you look at a guy like Akeem Dent, 5-star player coming in, and I mean, he arguably could be a freshman All-American right now. I mean, the dude could have probably 9 to 12 interceptions on the season, and he just can't catch a ball. So what are they doing in practice? Are they practicing people getting interceptions ever? Are they ever throwing the ball to the defensive backs to see if, if they can hang on to it every now and then? I don't know what they're doing, man. They're just out there throwing Lunchables at people.
Yeah, I don't understand a lot of it. I think I speak for a lot of FSU fans too. That was just, it kind of shows now officially where FSU and Florida are at now and how much divide is there. I don't think, although Florida State, I think better coaching though would make that for a great game. If they had good coaching there, I think it would be a lot closer. I think FSU's talent can still play well, but obviously, I mean, the last couple of years we've been seeing it. The coaching is a horrid problem in Tallahassee. But it shows you right now, though, overall, there is a divide right now, and that's because of coaching. And you're going to lose those kind of games. Odell Higgins loses his first game as an interim head coach. Hamza Nasruddin, and hopefully we'll get some news soon about him, but he goes down with an ugly leg injury, and it looks like he's most likely done for the season. We'll wait and hear word from that. But, I mean, that's tough. Shoot, if you don't have Hamza Nasruddin out there, you're not going to get a lot of time. Yeah, I know. What do you have on defense? I mean, he is your tackling machine. He is definitely going to be a big, hopefully, the injury, before that injury and stuff, it's going to be tough now, but, he's going to be great in the league. I still think if he recovers well, he's going to do, if he can get back to where he was, he's going to be great in the pros. But, I mean, he's a huge part of that defense, and it shows right away because, I mean, who's going to tackle anybody if Hamza's not there? He goes from field to field, side to side. He's incredible.
When did Hamza get knocked out in that game? Do you guys remember? Was it the first half?
I have no idea.
I feel like that was third, maybe. I watched the whole entire game, but
yeah. Well, Hamza didn't play. Hamza got knocked out before the game was over, and he's still the fifth leading tackler on the team against the Gators. So
I would say then it was early on that he was like because he was already racking up close to 10 tackles going into what second or halftime. The announcers were praising him.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly when it happened, but I mean, even still, to just be in the top 5 of the tacklers.
Yeah, and you know what shows right here, just going through a timeline of that game, all right, you have scores right away. And you're like, oh, here we go. All right, whoa, okay, Kendall Briles, nice play calling. You like this. Florida State goes down and scores. Okay, so we might have, this game might be competitive at least here. And then, nope, nothing else. Kendall Briles and whatever else they're calling then, it's not working for whatever reason. And I'll tell you what, I mean, Florida's got better coaching, and that kind of just shows you right there, adjustments. We always looked at Jimbo Fisher as being a great second half adjustment guy. He did a great job at that. Florida State would always come out and be able to figure out the mind of whatever the opponent's coaching staff was calling and figure out a way to score points and play better defense sometimes. But it kind of shows you how Florida State's coaching staff right now is able to react really quickly and be ahead of the game. I don't know, that might just be me, but I feel like that's how far ahead Florida is right now coaching wise, because Kendall Briles couldn't get really much of anything going. I know there was missed opportunities between Blackman and Tamarion Terry, but that was their best bets on getting yardage down the field throughout the rest of that game almost.
I mean, yeah, I've seen a lot of people dogging Kendall Briles and the offense, but this isn't what his offense is supposed to look like with how bad the offensive line play is and how subpar the quarterback play is. It's not the offense he wants to be running, and you can see it in his frustrations. We saw him take it out on Blackman a little bit. And again, when your first drive to get points is mostly trick plays with the end around or the swinging gate or whatever play it was, I forget. It's been a long week. But when that's your success for a series, you can't rely on that the rest of the game. You could see it. Hopefully next season we get more talent in that fits him. and he can show the offensive prowess he really does have as a coach, if he even stays on staff. But I'm assuming he will.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, the craziest thing to me is you look at James Blackman. James Blackman had 9 incompletions against Florida. James Blackman got sacked 8 times. So he missed 9 passes and he got sacked 8 times. That's crazy to me. And one sequence was in the fourth quarter where he got sacked on 3 straight plays. I mean, and the way he was looking at his offensive line after that kind of reminded me of Francois last year in that Syracuse game where he just got killed and the offensive lineman tried to help him up and he just pushed his hand away and picked himself up because he's like, y'all aren't helping me, so I got to do it all myself. So I'm sure that's kind of how James Blackman is feeling right now. And then you look at Cam Akers. I mean, man, Cam Akers had the sneakiest 100-yard game of all time. He had one touchdown carry for 50 yards. He had 17 total carries. The other 16 carries go for 52 yards, 3.25 yard per carry average. So, I mean, there was just absolutely nothing working for Florida State in this game. The offensive line could not block Florida. And once the Gators realized that, they brought pressure pretty much all night. It didn't matter.
And we expected that coming in. We knew how bad our offensive line was and how great their front seven was.
They looked worse than I thought they would look. I didn't think they'd give up 8 sacks, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it, and Austin was too, this is a way better defense that Florida State has played in a good while, and it really showed too. And, the next coach that comes in better prey on figuring out an offensive line, and also, quarterback. I mean, it is a very, very, very interesting time in Tallahassee right now. I mean, the quarterback situation, you could be losing your bell cow and your future QB1 with Jeff Sims from Jacksonville, and it is a crazy, scary time in Tallahassee. I hate putting it that way, but I mean, it's time for people to stop hiding and not saying it. I mean, it is a interesting, very scary time, and I don't know how this program is going to go, and we'll get to it now. I think we've already talked enough about the UF game. I mean, it really wasn't going to be competitive.
Just speaking on Sims real quick, he's set to officially visit Virginia Tech this weekend, and he saw Georgia Tech in November. So he's certainly beginning to look around, especially considering it's been 4 weeks without Florida State naming a head coach. So what do you expect a 17-year-old kid to do when he's got a national letter of intent to sign in 21 days, but you just want to keep taking your sweet-ass time?
Yeah, I think it's time to get into this a little bit, this coaching search and how this is really affecting Florida State and maybe what the administration is going on here. I know everybody wants to be supported and all that kind of stuff, but I think we need to be kind of straight to the point here and wonder what is actually going on. So a little timeline here before we get into the discussion. On Monday, we were receiving images, and we were posting them on Twitter of Florida State prepping. So they were prepping the field, they were painting, making it all look pretty. They started on the end zones, they went to the Seminole Head in the middle of the field. They were getting it all pretty and doing the line work. And then on Tuesday, they were finalizing everything. They did a little bit of extra paint on the lines and touching up, and it looked beautiful. And they actually cut the grass that day also, and the Bobby Bowden field looked about as pretty as it's ever been. It also helped that it was great lighting and everything. But Monday actually late afternoon, we got word that the Champions Club was shutting down. They had already had a podium and everything set up with seating. It's a beautiful area too, overlooking the field, and that's where the national championship, the softball team had their national championship ceremony after they won it, and it's a beautiful place. It can hold a lot of people and media and all that kind of stuff. But they had a podium set up, seating set up, everything, and they had the One Tribe banner at the back set up, the backdrop. And that was fully set up. And then about an hour later, that began. We were starting to get word that was starting to be taken down. Everything was starting to be put together, and then by the end of that night and heading into the morning, the whole full process on Tuesday morning was that everything was being put away. All that was left was just the table and the podium. The backdrop was gone and the seating was getting taken away. And Tuesday, still on that day, they were still cutting some of the grass, like I had said, and they were still finalizing the rest of the field and all that kind of stuff, all that kind of other stuff happening. So that's kind of like what's been happening Doak related and what was going on. And the last 2 days, though, they've been holding meetings in there. I think Coburn, the athletic director, had to talk to the Senate, talking about Florida State and their hire and all that kind of jazz. But right now, this is a complete. I don't know what to think about it. I'll be honest. I know your top 3 candidates, maybe that are the most talked about, are Mike Norvell, James Franklin, and Bob Stoops are probably your top 3 names that are being talked about. And yeah, I personally, just to me, I don't know what to think about it. There's so many conspiracies about Bob Stoops. Obviously, Mike Norvell is like your safest bet to what Florida State might be as your next head coach, but I mean, it's just all over the place right now, and I just don't understand getting a field prepped on Monday, and if it's for a recruiting weekend, I don't understand them doing that on a Monday. I just really don't. Well, I've never seen that before.
Let's nip that in the bud right now, because Florida State's recruiting weekend isn't until December 13th, which is next week. They do have one recruit officially visiting. Quarterback Cade Renfro will be in Tallahassee starting Friday, December 6th, tomorrow. But, I mean, I don't think that they would go ahead and get the field all repainted and mowed out, just for one guy coming in. Next weekend, 14 players will be in Tallahassee for official visits, and maybe even more, depending on what goes on. So I don't think that they were rolling out the red carpet for Renfro this Monday. In my opinion, Florida State got the nod from a candidate that they wanted to accept the head coaching position, and then maybe sometime Monday they were informed by that candidate that they weren't sure about taking the position. That's when Florida State put everything away. They thought the announcement was imminent, and then the candidate backed out.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think they were really expecting either a signed contract or they had the agreement with James Franklin. Because if Norvell was their top target, they knew he would have wanted to coach in the championship game this weekend. So I think they thought they were going to get an agreement from Franklin, given his interest a few years ago. Thought he'd had the same interest. Then they offered him a number, and he didn't take it. So now they're scrambling, but they've already got the stuff in place. And it's just a bad look. And it was my concern coming into this coaching hire is you have basically an interim athletic director in David Coburn. You have a president who's only going to be here for 11 more months. There's just not a lot of experience, and there's not a lot of it's not a very appealing job, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, it doesn't help anything. I just I might be just on crack or something, but I don't know. If you're setting up a podium and you're already putting money towards getting the whole field painted and getting all gorgeous looking and perfect for photo ops, when you already have someone that already have pen to paper on that, when you already have someone that has signed and said blah, blah, blah there, and you signed maybe a few days before or however many days, and then you already start prepping the field, you're able to get in contact with your fields crew and all that kind of stuff and get Doak Campbell fully ready. And obviously, I mean, they're not just setting up a podium and all that kind of stuff for some kind of thing and then just take it down real quick. Obviously, they were getting ready to announce the next Florida State head coach, and that something happened in the back end and it fell apart. But I would think before that, someone had to have signed something, unless unless Florida State is where it's at right now, admin-wise.
I mean, this is the administration that reportedly didn't sign Willie Taggart's contract and he was the head coach for almost 2 years. So
yeah.
I'm starting to think it might be
common sense.
It's more of incompetence, I would say, on Florida State's side here, definitely.
Wow. It's just craziness to me.
It is crazy.
This is the craziest thing I've seen in I don't know how long. And now we'll get to the discussion of recruiting, how hard this is going to be for whoever head coach is coming in. Obviously, like you talked about, Jeff Sims is going. Your QB1 for in the future here is going to go take official visits elsewhere. But right off the bat, though, we saw excitement tweets from Bell Cows, from Josh Griffiths, and then also you saw from Zane Herring, offensive line commit, and they seemed pretty excited, and that's when a lot of the Bob Stoops stuff was coming out and all that kind of jazz. But there's been rumors that the recruits haven't heard anything about a coach. Florida State had a meeting this morning. We're recording this on Thursday, but they had a meeting this morning. We were told that the specific reason for that was just academics and staying on pace, all that kind of stuff, and staying focused, but nothing around a coach being named or anything like that. But recruiting now is going to take a toll, right, Dustin?
Yeah, I mean, you're not just worried about Jeff Sims at this point. You're starting to worry about multiple guys in the recruiting class that could decommit. Then especially some guys that already have. I mean, 4-star running back Jalen Knighton committed to Florida State. It was either right before the season or in September. I can't remember, but he decommitted shortly after Taggart was fired, and now he's going to Miami, even though they lost to FIU and Duke. So I mean, props to him for making that tough decision. But so yeah, you've got Knighton gone, 4-star defensive back Isaiah Dunson decommitted shortly after Taggart was fired, and with the longer you go without a head coach, the more all this starts to hang in the balance, because a lot of these guys that are currently committed and a couple that were targets, they were going to sign in the early signing period, which that's just 15 days from now. The early signing period is from December 20th to December 22nd. Any 2020 high school football prospect can sign their letter of intent during that period. So, I mean, the longer this goes, the less likely it turns out well for Florida State.
You think the recruiting's heading in a good direction here, Austin?
No. That's my only comment, because I don't follow recruiting that much. I've always had the opinion until they've signed pen to paper and they're wearing the jersey that they're not actually part of the team. I know that's kind of a hot take for some people, but they're kids. They're going to change their minds even if we did have a head coach right now.
Right.
Yeah, I don't see them. It's hard to say they're going to go in a good place. It's going to keep going in a great direction. There's no way to expect that. Even if Taggart had stayed, we went 6-6. So.
Yeah, and just to wrap up recruiting real quick, I'll just throw out a couple names here that I am worried they could end up decommitting, and I guess I'll just start from the list. Couple of linebacker commits, not Keyshawn Green, since he's a local product, but maybe Stephen Dix Jr. or Jayon McCluster could decommit and possibly head to Miami. We've also got wide receiver Ja'Kai Douglas out of Louisiana. Maybe he starts looking a little bit at the hometown Tigers at this point, considering how well they're playing and if they have a spot for him. Morvin Joseph, 3-star defensive end / linebacker. He's starting to lean more towards Florida or Tennessee instead of Florida State. Josh Griffiths, he's considering Nebraska, but a lot of people are saying he'll stick at Florida State as long as Odell's here. And then also offensive guard Alex Aktivage, he could be looking at Rutgers with Giano heading back over there.
Rutgers. I know a lot of FSU fans. I'm just speaking for FSU fans. I mean, even whenever you say like Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech, I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to speak for FSU fans because obviously we cover Florida State, and I try to stay more neutral than anything. But my family went to FSU, and I go to FSU. But just covering the team and where we try to stay as neutral as possible. But I've been around since I was a little kid going to games. But man, Rutgers and Rutgers is competing with FSU with the players. I know Greg Schiano just took the job there, but man, I this is just where it's at.
The main reason is he's from New Jersey, so it'd be kind of him going back home. But
I understand.
Anytime someone decides to pick Rutgers over Florida State,
usually that's
feel
about
too
playing
good.
time. Usually that's about playing time, and if you want to have playing time, you'll pick a university that you think you want. Blah 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 blah. You see that a lot with Alabama. They'll pick the team that's lower, of course, so they can have more playing time. And this is Florida State, and there's like true competition. It doesn't really matter about playing time. This is just strict between Florida State and Rutgers, and I don't know. That's something. I'm just that's just where everybody listen. This is where FSU's at, and this is where you got to have a coach named soon, or it just gets uglier from here. And obviously, the good thing about it though, Florida State is still held on for a good amount of their commits still, and that's just FSU's lucky in that regard that they've held on to these guys for that long.
But are they going to be able to keep holding on to them if they continue to prolong this search? That's the worry. You look at a couple of other high targets, like 4-star wide receiver Brian Robinson. I mean, he was a guy that many were beginning to project to Florida State early in the season. And now with Taggart fired and, nothing on the head coach for 4 weeks, I mean, who knows with Robinson now at this point? He's probably heading to Miami. 4-star running back DeJuan Edwards, same thing. He was a Florida State lean. No idea what's happening with that now because there's no head coach. I mean, it's tough for all these kids because, I mean, they're 17, 18 years old and they have to make a decision that, a lot of them are going to live with for the next 3 to 4 years, and it's going to define what they do in college and if they go to the NFL. And you're asking them to commit to a program that can't even name a head coach after 4 weeks. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of them started to open back up their recruitments. I mean, it makes the most sense.
Especially when Coburn was saying the hire was supposed to be made by the end of November, and here we are, December.
Something has screwed
still
up.
Don't have anything.
Yeah, something most certainly has screwed up, and something has screwed up, and this is a big time football program, and you would think after letting Tiger go, you would have a plan already in place before letting him go, actually. And something has screwed up either one time or multiple times along this timeline that we've already in December 5th, and there hasn't been a hire made. I thought we would have seen it. I was kind of questioning Coburn's talk about them being at the end of November. I was thinking not really at the end, but maybe a little bit earlier than then. But here we are on December 5th, so.
Yeah, and FSU, I mean, they're going to feel it on all fronts. I mean, you've already got guys entering the transfer portal. Former 4-star defensive end Malcolm Lamar entered the transfer portal earlier today, according to 247. And then, also guys that can declare early for the NFL, they might just decide to make the leap. I mean, you look at redshirt sophomore Tamorion Terry. He's a guy who's already been checking out his draft projections and getting feedback from the NFL on the combine. And the longer he goes without a head coach in place, the more sense it makes to go ahead and jump to the next level, get a guaranteed paycheck, and instead of coming back here to disarray. So,
yeah, no.
Florida State's just hurting themselves at this point.
Yeah, they most certainly are, and we'll keep an eye on it for the remainder of how long this is going to go. But you've got to name someone very soon, or it could get extremely lucky, and you're definitely going to lose some recruits. And shoot, they might go to Rutgers. they just might go to Rutgers. But unless y'all have anything else about the coaching craziness. We try to keep you guys updated as quickly and most informed as possible at NoleGameDay.com. Dustin Lewis, our lead writer, does a great job with that. Austin also puts in work with football too. But over there at NoleGameDay.com, we're trying to keep you guys informed over there. If you guys like articles, run over there and all that. All right, guys, we got a pretty good, interesting special guest with us tonight. If you guys are on Twitter and you've been there for at least 5 years or so, you definitely know the name. He's all over Twitter. He's trolling Gator fans. He's trolling Miami fans. He's even trolling FSU fans sometimes. We got Peej on here from hashtag FSU Twitter, the FSU Twitter family. What's going on, man?
What's up, Logan? Thanks for having me.
I
really love getting on podcasts. So I love being on podcasts. So
how many podcasts have you been on?
I've been on the Rollcast, and I've been on the Corner Boys, and I've been a long time ago. I was on Big T Roll a long time ago.
Okay. So you're not making me feel so special then.
Well, I've never been on a podcast that had Dion on it, so.
There we go. Now we're talking.
So you're saying this is the best podcast that you've been on, huh?
Oh, no, unequivocally.
There we go. Perfect. I got that quoted. Good. I'll have that in a frame soon. I've known you for a very long time. Me and you started to get to know each other really close in 2013, the good year, the happy year. Everybody was having a good time during the national championship year. And since then, we've always conversated with each other and we've always stayed in contact. It's been good. It's been a lot of things changed since then, that's for sure.
Yeah, man. I remember me, you, Austin, I think his name was, the guy who, and Nola 16. Who's like, everyone hates for some reason. We all met up at the Miami game. I think it was. So, and I remember when you and Austin were talking about, like, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're like talking about starting up Nole Game Day, and then.
Oh yeah, that was Ethan. Now I know you're talking about.
Ethan. My bad.
Yep. And now he's a Gator. He's down in Gainesville.
Yeah, we don't talk about that fucking guy anymore.
Oh, fuck him. Fuck him then.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah, everybody has mistakes. Yep. But yeah, there's a lot has changed, obviously, and I got in touch with you because you had a tweet going out said you needed to talk about FSU Twitter, and a lot has changed not only for the football team but also as there's a lot of new people coming up, and it's funny how. The FSU Twitter thing is what it is, but there's a lot of other personalities, I guess you could say now, a lot of other accounts and people, and it's entertaining. They come out, it's comedy, and there's a lot of trolling and banter, but a lot has gone on the last 5, 6, 7 years since it's began, I guess you can say. But I personally think of you as being one of the true founding fathers of FSU Twitter, and that's coming from me.
Yeah, a lot of people, every time I get on a podcast, well, except for the Big Three Roll, when I get on the Rollcast and when I get on the Corner Store Boys, when I go to the corner, they always tell me, they always give me credit, and I don't really, like, I was, as far as I know, I was like, I was tweeting about Florida State before hashtag FSU Twitter was a thing, but it would have happened regardless. Like, the degenerates would have all found each other eventually. And but yeah, I appreciate. I whenever I say like I started it, I'm always joking. Like, but it is funny. It's funny to fuck with people who like take it seriously. They really take their Twitter lives seriously. So it's fun for me to be like, I started it, and they get kind of butthurt about it. But
oh yeah.
Especially people that make money off of it. There's people that make money off of being, well, not you guys, but like people who make money off of like trolling.
Yeah.
Because there are people that do.
Yeah, no, there is, and they've built it up to a brand now, and That's just how it is. Everybody can kind of be an entrepreneur now, and if you can build a following and have some kind of have a personality and entertain your followers, then yeah. And I think in about on Sunday we'll all be buying. I think iDoc will be launching Bob Stoops gear after Bob Stoops is announced, so we'll all be buying iDoc iDoc hoodies and beanies and all that kind of stuff on Monday. So I'm looking forward to that launch.
Yeah, I hope not. I don't want Bob Stoops.
Oh yeah, we'll get into the coaching stuff here in a second. We'll definitely get into that. And I also have a question for you about you pick somebody and then the next one day you pick somebody and then nope, I'm gonna go with the other one, and then you know what, I hate that hire, and then no, I like this hire, and I know what you're doing. I've just known you for so long. Some people don't understand it, but yeah. But Austin, tell me, whenever you started, you were on the FSU Twitter land when it started launching there back in the Natty year and maybe even before it. But even you remember Curtis too?
Yeah, I was good friends with Curtis. Thanks to him, my car got towed for the first time in Tallahassee. That's my best story with him is after, oh God, I forget what game it was, but me and a few others went back to his place, and we had been sitting with Michael Snare, and like at 2 a.m. I look over, I'm like, we're at Whataburger at 2 a.m. with Michael Snare, and I have no idea what's happening. But yeah, me and Curtis go way back. We went to a lot of the Jimbo talk shows, radio shows throughout the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were the days, man. 2013. I remember when we did follow trains. That's how old I am on Twitter.
Yeah, there were follow trains.
Yeah.
At the follow train.
Like 2011, 2012. That's a long time ago.
This is a way back when. We're getting some flashbacks here. I just think it's interesting to talk about because FSU Twitter is almost, there was articles written about it nationally. I remember seeing a few years ago, and it's still one of the big. It's almost a group too. Like if you'll have banter within each other, but then if someone from a rival comes in, and it's like a whole full-on war against that one person. And you have a good time with the Gator fans and Miami fans, right, Peej?
Oh yeah, I'm actually some of the. I've rarely ever met up with anybody. I've probably met up with like 10 people off of Twitter ever, but I got some buddies who are both Gator and Miami fans that I met off that you tweet with people for 10 years.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7 years. You eventually just pick up on who you got similar interest to, and so I got
And you've I've been around you and seen mentions and all that kind of stuff, but you've gotten some threats from Miami fans and Florida fans. There's a whole lot of talk and won't do it, but they come after you sometimes. It's violent.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love it. I fucked up though about 3 years ago, and this would stress me out so bad. I gave this guy wanted to send me a Christmas gift, and I stupidly gave him my address. And he's a Florida State fan, but I'm not gonna say who it was. But he was a Florida State fan, but he was like the kind of Florida State fan that really likes to fuck with people like within the fan base. And I would get in, and like me and him, like I don't want to say we don't get along on. I think the whole thing's stupid. Like the whole not getting along with people is stupid on Twitter, but like. He doesn't always like what I have to say, and I don't really like what he has to say sometimes. So I would get so nervous that he would send my address to somebody from, specifically Florida fans. But I moved, so I'm good now, so I can be right again.
So you can be back to trolling as much as you can.
Yeah.
Sounds good. There's been craziness since the beginning. People coming out. You remember Bushido Knoll?
Bushido.
I remember that.
God.
Yeah, me and him tweeted at each other quite a bit, and I interacted with them, and after you're interacting with somebody for like 3 or 4 years, man, you kind of picture what they might be and whatever, and seemed to be the complete opposite. He was always he was uploading videos of him shooting military guns and off helicopters and bunkers and showing off his anaconda snakes.
Oh yeah, he was the creepy snake guy. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
God, I hated those.
Yeah, he had crazy creature videos, and he got
He's back.
exposed. Yeah, he's back now. He's back, and people
And
don't
he's
really.
like, people
Yeah.
like he's like a cocaine dealer now or something. Like he's hosting like
What?
all kinds of just luxurious resorts, and he's doing the same shit that he was doing. He just kind of mixed it up a little bit. But
Yeah,
he's from the actual guy is from like the town over from where I grew up in Florida. So I always question, because I'm like, there's not people like this where I'm from. There's just not.
Yeah, that is true. I remember that one, and now he's back, and it's been pretty much quiet since he's been back. And then Rachel was a crazy one. Me and Austin know about that one just from.
She was a whack job. That's the
she
only
was
way to put it.
Yeah, she was nuts. She was probably the biggest FSU fan on Twitter. Definitely in the FSU Twitter realm. Her and Melina, a photographer, the great photographer here in Tallahassee. Her and Melina were definitely your biggest women supporters for FSU, and then I forget what really happened. You remember Austin? How she was exposed or something like that?
The thing I remember is she was talking with, I think it was Benjamin Albright, and how she didn't claim to be part of FSU Twitter or FSU fandom or whatever, and people just started blasting her for that. That's what I remember.
Okay.
But besides that, and I know a lot of people made fun of her for only taking headshots, but that's all I remember from that.
Only headshots.
So was she a catfish or what was? I don't remember anything about her. I
think
remember
she was
her,
just
but
crazy.
I don't remember
I think that's all.
She was
crazy.
Psychopath, and I don't know. I forget what she did on Twitter, but I just remember if I usually think of somebody or call someone a psychopath, they had to have done something nuts, and I think she was flipping on people on Twitter and stuff out of the blue, and
yeah, you know she's bad when you just bring her up and everyone's like, oh god, she was just one of those.
Yeah. Kind of like about 50% of Austin's DMs right now on Twitter.
Something had to have happened because I wasn't on Twitter whenever this happened, and I know this chick's name and nothing else about her.
Yeah, Dustin was a little bit. Yeah. Dustin was a little bit later into FSU Twitter. He's a baby, and if he knows Rachel's name, then it obviously lingers over. She's a freaky one, and then probably one of the biggest that was happening during this FSU Twitter time was Neil Cool.
God, that was
there.
That was the. We talked about this briefly before we started, but that was the best DM I've ever received at 2 a.m. saying, "Dude, you have to go on the timeline right now." I'm like, "What?" And then all of a sudden, everybody started talking about it. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, you remember Neil Cool?
Yeah, I didn't go. Say what?
You remember him?
Oh, I got like inside story on that one. I've known Ryan Bryant, the guy like the fake name or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I knew his name was Ryan. I forgot what the last name was.
Mm-hmm.
This is funny. I had known him since about like 2008 on Facebook. There's like this Facebook college football fan like group thing. I don't even know. And for some reason, he would like always just message me. And then I made a Twitter, and I told him he should make one. So I'm the reason he made a Twitter. And when I had my first, I've had like 3 different accounts, a bunch of different handles, but that doesn't matter. So like my first account, when Twitter was new, there was like this app where you could like get followers by like following people, and I go back and unfollow him. Like I shamelessly, I did that on my first account, and I got like 7,000 followers. So he did, and I got him to do that. I guess I'm kind of long story short. Yeah, I've known that guy now or I still talk to Neil. He's a Florida State fan now. Like he made no joke like $60,000 from just making up information.
In all kinds of weather, baby.
And selling T-shirts and that was funny. That was funny.
He made a ton. Yeah, I'm in contact with him, and I've actually met him once. He's a big boy. What's weird is I have a crazy story that I don't think I've told anybody. All right, this is insanity. But I was in my bed asleep at 3 a.m. and out of the blue, Neil Cool and my roommate come barging in, and Neil Cool has his beanie on, and he comes in and says, "Wake up, motherfucker." And I'm like, what in the hell is happening? This happened about 2 years ago. He was filming it. He had his beanie on. He's a big dude. He's a tall guy. And I was like, what in the mother F is happening? But my roommate had gotten in contact with them, and they were hanging out, and they went to some party, but they came back and wanted to scare me in bed. And that, by far, I never thought that would ever happen in my entire life. But yeah,
you pissed yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, I was like, this can't.
Did he climb in with you?
Okay.
All right, but I've got to ask this while I can.
Mm-hmm.
Was Neil Cool actually a D3 tennis player, or was that fake too?
No, that was the
two different people.
That was different people.
That was the Ronald McDonald looking dude.
Jesus.
Charts Neil is what we call him. Charts Neil. That guy fucking hates me. That guy will jump in my mentions any reason. He'll be in my mentions every day.
He did that for me for like 3 years, and then he'd block me, and then unblock me to say something back, and then block me again, and it was just a constant cycle.
Yeah, he's got his own issues, but he's a real person. Different guy though.
There's too many Neils in that fan base.
Apparently.
Yeah. Now the whole FSU Twitter and Gatorland, all that crap is insanity. But I think FSU Twitter has changed a lot. But we could ramble on that for quite a long while. But right now, I need to figure out. We were talking about before we recorded. I need to figure out how Peej can go from loving or hating a coaching hire to about 2 hours, maybe not even 2 hours, maybe 30 minutes later or 10 minutes, absolutely loving the hire and endorsing it with all of his heart. Because I'm pretty sure you would want to do nothing with Mike Norvell being the head coach of Florida State, and now you are by far the biggest endorser. And that might change in 10 minutes.
Well, it depends. It always depends on the latest information. And I don't know. You might be mistaken. I don't know if I ever really didn't want Mike Norvell. There was a time where I really wanted James Franklin. And then, after some prayer, some thought, and talking to, people around the college football world, I decided I think Mike Norvell was probably the best fit for this program. I don't know if we're going to hire him, but yeah, I'm big on the Mike Norvell train.
Can I get a choo-choo?
No. Yeah, there you go.
Thank God.
Did you say Stoops? Yeah, is that what I heard?
No, Stoops. Like, the thing about Stoops, I know a lot of people wanted Stoops, and I do believe the Stoops, like the rumors they had. I know for a fact they had something to him. That wasn't like made up. I know for a fact that Stoops, there was talk, and there was a time where it really was looking like it was going to be Stoops. And I didn't really want to say this because I believed it was going to be Stoops. I was always a little bit apprehensive about the idea of Stoops coaching at Florida State because, one, not really necessarily due to his age, but anybody who's like retires young, put it this way, how do I say this? I would always be worried about his commitment to winning if he was here, especially if we like paid him a ridiculous amount of money. I know he's a competitive guy, but it would always be in the back of my head, like, are we really getting this guy as 100%? I think he's a good coach. I just think Mike Norvell's a better coach. I think that Mike Norvell's resume says that pretty clearly. I know Stoops coached 20 years at one of the biggest programs, won a national title. He went like 190 and like 40 or something. But Mike Norvell, put it this way, I think Mike Norvell is going to have a statue. If if we're lucky enough to have him. Statue, at least 3 national titles. If he doesn't get the Dallas Cowboys job in a few years.
Only one statue?
Yeah, just one. But
are they going to move?
Are they going to knock down the Bobby Bowden statue?
Yeah, or are they going to move the Bobby Bowden statue? Are they going to have to move that one?
No, they're going to put it about 60 yards away from where Bobby Bowden. Because you know how he's pointing. Mm-hmm. So the statue is going to be Bobby Bowden pointing to a giant Mike Norvell statue. So he's like the direction.
I wonder what that.
Like
I wonder if they're already planning that for like the Renaissance plan and all the money in Thrasher. I wonder if that's what the situation is going on here. They're saving up money.
I have on good authority that you're exactly right.
Okay.
You're a smart guy, so yeah.
I know. I thought I'm just putting the pieces together, but wow, 3 national championships.
At least,
and unless he goes to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, but he'll win one with it. Like he'll win one before he goes to the Cowboys, so we're at least gonna get one out of it. But and you guys know me. You know I'm not the kind of guy to just make outlandish predictions. Like I'm pretty well just measured, and I did predict Jameis Winston to win the Heisman, did I not?
Yeah,
and then prior to this season, I was never the biggest Willie supporter, and then I said he'd go. I actually predicted that he'd get fired after the Miami game. So that I would never.
You're solid on that.
I don't talk out of my ass. Just keep it simple. I don't talk out of my ass.
No, so we should definitely expect statue, at least one, but
if we're lucky enough to hire Norvell.
Yeah,
if we're lucky.
Exactly.
If we hire Norvell, that will be the greatest day in Florida State history. Let's put it that way.
How much do we have to pay to get him here? That's what I want to know.
Yeah,
he's probably worth. What did the Raiders pay Gruden?
10 years, $100 million over 10 years.
Too much.
Yeah, 10 years, $10 million a year, fully guaranteed. You're probably looking at something between Jimbo Fisher and that, because Norvell's young. If we, I've actually heard rumblings. I've heard rumblings that Norvell would, because of the strength of the logo, would be willing to take something like a 5 years, $5.5 million, somewhere in that range. $5.5 million a year. Just because of the opportunity.
Yeah.
But any other school, like if it was like the Gators or something, they'd probably have to pay him like $12 million a year. 10 years fully guaranteed.
Oh yeah, the logo pays.
Logo holds weight.
Yeah. And between Florida, where do you think? Well, we'll end it here talking about Miami and Florida. How do you feel about the two rivals? Since you get in some nasty fights with them, but where do you think? Let's start off with Miami. Where do you think Miami's headed at this rate? I mean, looks like they're headed to Shreveport, like the FSU did.
Shreveport.
Yeah, Shreveport. Yeah.
Miami. Some people have accused me of being a troll in the past, and this really isn't a troll. And I really don't troll, but this is seriously not a troll. I don't think Miami does anything. I think what Miami did in 2017, that will happen like once every 7 to 12 years. Miami, they just don't have the money, dude. They don't have the infrastructure. I feel sorry for them because out of the two rivals, I have a little bit more respect for them. I like them more. I get along with them better. I admire their program more than the Gators. But I don't think they'll do anything. And they'll definitely be in Shreveport. And if they win, well, it does worry me if they win because then they might take the trophy into a recruit's living room, the Independence trophy into a recruit's living room, which God knows if any kid that was considering Miami would commit on the spot if they saw that trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about a logo that holds actual weight, that trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Walk-Ons Independence Bowl. They got some great fried gator tail. I I used to live out in like East Texas. So I've actually been there before. Because Shreveport's like right on the border of Louisiana and Texas.
Oh shit! Wow. So a great place to go tailgating, right, for their bowl game.
Best, yeah, walk-ons. Go to walk-ons. Well, Kansas fans, they're not gonna fucking be there. They can't even afford to go to their own games. So they're definitely not gonna be at the walk-ons.
But yeah, Miami's just heading into a certain situation here, and I'm sure that gives you some entertainment to use on Twitter. And then the Gators, I think you have more of like some bitter and you have, yeah, like I said earlier, you get threats from people, and you know it's over Twitter, and it's pretty funny to me. Like what are they really going to do? Like if you're pissing them off, you've already done your job. But where's Dan Mullen headed, and you think Florida State is going to be able to compete with Florida the next few years?
Absolutely. It depends on if we hire Mike Norvell, but I think I'll give them credit. Dan Mullen's a really good. Dan Mullen would be a great NFL coach, and I hope he gets the opportunity to coach in the NFL. Because he's a really unlikable guy, and those guys seem to do a lot better in the NFL because they can't, like, young people don't really like him. If you don't believe me, just go look at their recruiting when they're winning like 10 games a year. At their first season, I've never seen a worse recruiting class for a coach who turned around 4-7 to 10-3. I've never seen a more lackluster recruiting results. So I'm not too worried. I'm actually really. I think we're really lucky. And I know, and this is seriously, like, I know I've been accused of trolling, but it's really, and they're going to do a little bit better in recruiting this year than they did last year, because it's like, oh shit, they went 10-2 again. I'll give them credit. Like, that's a really well-coached football team. But those McElwain guys aren't going to be there next year. They'll still be respectable. Like, they'll never miss a bowl game with Dan Mullen. They really won't. But they're not taking enough advantage of Miami being down, Florida State being down. They're not taking, like, when Jimbo was here early on in his career, Florida State and Miami were down, and Jimbo cleaned up the state. But Dan Mullen's letting Georgia come in, he's letting Clemson come in, he's letting Alabama come in. And it's going to come back to bite him in the ass, but I think he's a really smart guy, Dan Mullen, and the NFL really might come calling, and I won't be surprised, but it would make me sick to my stomach if he took an NFL job, because I want him at Florida for as long, until further notice. I want him at Florida. Just put it that way.
Yeah. Thoughts with Mike White.
Keep him at Florida.
Forever.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, I'm excited. Last question. Where do you see Florida State in the next 3 years?
What did Herm at? Playoffs. I see them in the playoffs in the next by year 3, depending on who we hire. If we hire Mike Norvell, playoffs. If we hire Bob Stoops, Orange Bowl. And if we hire, I don't know, who's another, like Luke Fickell, Orange Bowl. But if we hire like I don't know, James Franklin, 6-6. We'll go 6.
Where's Odell taking us?
Odell's taking us. I think Odell would be all right, but I don't think we have. On a serious note, I don't think we have like the level of commitment that LSU and Clemson have. I wish we did. Like LSU and Clemson, I don't think Odell is any worse than Dabo or Orgeron as head coach. I really don't. I think both those guys learned on the job. They both had a lot of things go their way, but Odell will probably go like 8-4 by year 3. We'll hover around 8-4, and I just don't think our boosters would do what Clemson and LSU's boosters do. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately,
it's different. It's been entertaining. We'll see. I mean, like I said, we could all be buying hoodies from iDoc, the Twitter insider, and his merch that he'll probably open up a shop for, and he probably would get, if he actually Bob Stoops was hired, he probably could sell a couple hundred hoodies and beanies and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see. It's a crazy coaching carousel right now, and right now Mike Norvell is a big name and seems to be trending in that direction, and we'll see what what could happen though is that he gets a raise after his bowl game, or after his not his bowl game, but his game this weekend. So that's how FSU likes to do it. He's a Knoll. Peej just saying he's a Knoll.
Novell. Yeah, if we're lucky enough to have him, I'm just speaking into existence. I think that's by far that'd be the best hire of the last 20 years in college football.
I'm gonna wait and see. But I'm glad that you already have a guaranteed statue, Bobby Bowden point at him, and also at least one national championship. If he doesn't leave, then he gets 3 for Florida State. So I'll have that written down.
Cool.
All right, man. Well, I'm glad we got you on here. I think it was good, and we talked, about FSU Twitter and all the craziness there. And I've been with you since the beginning, and I'm glad I was able to catch up with you and the rest of the guys too. I'm happy to have you on here on Hear the Spear, man.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thanks. It was good to talk to you guys.
I know there's some basketball stuff that happened. I remember watching the game. We were hoping for some happiness on Tuesday night against Indiana, and that didn't really work out so well for us. Not really a fun distraction, but Florida State kind of had a sticky situation in a very hot environment in Indiana.
Yeah, and let's even go back to the weekend to talk about how we even got there with the Emerald Coast Classic Championship with 2 great wins over Tennessee and Purdue. Those wins look even greater sitting here today with Purdue beating Virginia by 30.
Yeah.
Those are 2 great wins, and in back-to-back days, and then having to travel a day later to Indiana. That's tough on a college kid's body, and you could see it towards the end of the game against Indiana. It was a 5-point game with just over 5 minutes left. Trent Forrest was going to the free throw line, and he missed both, and then Indiana went on a 10-0 run and ended up winning by, I think, 16. So fatigue played a big part. Indiana got to the free throw line a ton. Shout out the officials. And Florida State also got out rebounded, which if you read my preview of the Indiana game, I said free throws and rebounds are the 2 biggest factors in this game, and Florida State lost both of them. So it's hard to say they stood a chance when you're losing those 2 biggest factors in the game.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing to me that stands out is 38 free throw attempts for Indiana, 16 for Florida State. I mean, when you look at the numbers like that, you're like, man, Florida State must have just been chucking threes, all kinds of jumpers and not trying to get to the line and into the paint to draw fouls. But I mean, man, Florida State, they only took 4 more threes than Indiana. And from my point of view, I may be a little bit biased, but from my point of view, Florida State, for the most part, was going hard at the rim a lot of times and get a lot of contact, but not a lot of whistles. And then on the other end, I didn't think that they were playing that physical of defense. And here's Indiana with 38 free throws. So that, to me, it was egregious. I thought the officiating of that game, and it may just be me, but I was very pissed off.
The game reminded me a lot of the Duke 2017-18 season game when we played in Cameron Indoor and it was tied with 2 minutes left, and then Duke just pulls away at the end. You had a really BS technical foul on Coach Ham in that game. In the Duke game, Coach Ham threw his jacket against the bench, which, he threw something, but it was against the bench. He got a technical that. He got a technical in this game for talking. You had foul calls going against you almost every single time down the floor. In that Duke game, Marvin Bagley and Wendell Carter Jr. were getting to the line like crazy. In the Indiana game, everybody was getting to the line. I was like, Oprah Winfrey, you get a free throw, you get a free throw, you get a free throw.
Yeah.
It was just, there was a lot of things that kept going wrong. And when Florida State would get back into it, it was a 3-point game. And then you had the Devin Vassell turnover and then the Coach Hamilton technical foul. That's a 6 or 7 point swing. They went from potentially tying the game to now being down 7, having to call their way back in. It was just a lot of things like that throughout the second half. I wasn't too upset with the game, though. I know it's a loss, but at the same time, you came off a great weekend. You're fatigued, and then you have to get right back at it against Clemson on Sunday, which we'll get into later. But I wasn't that upset about it. It's going to be a great loss by the end of the season. I know I hate moral victories, but that's going to be a quadrant 1 loss at the end of the season. It's not going to hurt Florida State at all.
Yeah, and I mean, really, Florida State, they were just very inconsistent on offense. I don't know if that had to do a lot with not drawing as many fouls as they expected or what, but Indiana, they went on. The game started off 12-4. Then the next thing I know, it's like 20-12. I mean, Indiana went on a huge run after the first 4-minute timeout. Florida State didn't score the entire second media timeout. The entire length that went from like the 16 mark or so to about the 11:40 mark, Florida State did not score a basket, and Indiana on the other end was lighting it up. And then also, like you said, Austin, in the second half, it was 59-56 or so with a couple minutes left, and Indiana closes it with an 11-5 run to just end the game. So, yeah, Florida State very inconsistent on offense, and then Indiana just lighting it up. I mean, you've got a senior coming off the bench, Devontae Green, has the game of his life, of course, against Florida State. That's how it always works out. The random guy comes off the bench and has his best ever career game after 5 years. But Devontae Green goes 10 for 15, 5 of 7 from 3, and some of those threes, he was just pulling up in people's faces. I mean, it just didn't matter, and he dropped 30 points on the night. I mean, credit to him.
Yeah, he was hitting shots where you, like, after he makes them, just tip your cap because there's nothing more you can do about it. But at least he wasn't that random. He came into the game averaging double digits scoring, so he wasn't
random to me. Right.
Yeah, he wasn't that random for Indiana and their fan base, but yeah, to see him go for 30 and he was hitting, like, the shot that really stuck out was the one over Devin Vassell with a minute left, and he just kind of threw it up there late in the shot clock and absolutely drains it.
Yeah.
Like, what else can you do there? He'd been hitting shots like that all night. I'm sure it was frustrating for the defense, but Indiana just seemed to have spurts of really long droughts where they weren't really scoring much, and then all of a sudden they scored 20 points in 2 minutes. And you're like, what just happened? That kind of seemed to be the trend of the game, where Indiana got hot for a couple minutes and it was too much for Florida State to overcome.
Mm-hmm. Well, Austin, I hate to do this to you, but I need you to tell me about your boy. I mean, what's going on with Trent Forrest? I
think Forrest has been solid. I think I was talking about this with someone else. I think he's still in last season mode where he has Terrence Mann to pass to, Fiondu Kabengele to pass to, Phil Kofer, all these guys that he can pass to, and now he's driving and he's looking at options, and he's got Wyatt Wilkes and Anthony Polite. No disrespect to those guys, but it's not Phil Kofer.
Those are my two hashtag guys.
Yeah, I know, but it's not Phil Kofer, Terrence Mann. It's not those guys. It's not PJ Savoy.
Yeah, I would really love Forrest to shoot the ball about 18 times a game. Really just try and dominate the offense more than anyone else, maybe outside of Vassell and Patrick Williams, but really 15 to 18 shots a game. I feel like that's where Forrest has got to be at. And in this one against Indiana, he only took 9. You know, the guy that took the most shots on the team, Raekwon Gray. I love Raekwon. I love him. He's been one of my favorite players. Redefined his body a little bit. He moves fast as hell for a guy that big, but Raekwon probably shouldn't ever be the guy who takes the most shots on your team during a game.
No, and I definitely agree with that, and I definitely agree with that. Trent Forrest and Devin Vassell need to be more aggressive hunting their shots.
Playing videos over there, Logan?
Yeah, what's going on over there, Logan?
Oh, wow. Sorry, I unmuted myself. Sorry, I was watching.
Go back to muted.
No. I was watching Rutgers clubs and how they were doing over there and seeing what might excite recruits to go commit over there over Florida State. Sorry, that was my bad. Did I interrupt the basketball nerds and they're talking?
I was mid-speech and I heard something and I was like, what is going on?
Sorry, that was very loud then.
It was loud.
At first I thought it was my phone and
I screwed
things
up.
coming through my earbuds, and then I kept talking and it wasn't that.
That was my bad. I'm sorry, Dustin. I'm glad you called me out on that. I'm glad. Just like hopefully you'll call out your group project member with your friggin' Spanish project that you have due.
Yeah, did.
Okay, good. I just hope it works out for you, Dustin.
Yeah, me too, bud.
I hope so, because I don't want to. Me and you are going through hell right now. We're going through this together. It's gonna be a fun week next week and this weekend. Anyways, I don't want to interrupt. I'm sorry. Let me go back to me. I don't know how that even happened, but I'm just letting y'all do y'all's thing. Make sure we preview that upcoming game this weekend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Where was I? We were talking about Rick on Gray. Yeah. Trent Forrest and Devin obviously have to be more aggressive hunting their shots. I think Patrick Williams does as well because nobody's stopping him getting to his spots. But yeah, I think Forrest just has to get out of last season's mode and has to go into tournament mode like he did against Gonzaga and then the tournament before that where he's just puts his head down and gets to the rim whenever he wants, which we've seen at points this season. He just needs to do it more.
Right. What did you think about Florida State finally going up against a team that has a lot of depth and that can play as many players as the Seminoles want to? I mean, in this game, Florida State only had 5 guys finish with 22 minutes or more. You had MJ Walker at 19 minutes, Polite at 18 minutes. But really, Indiana did a great job of phasing Florida State's bigs completely out of this game. I mean, allegedly, Zach, he had 9 minutes. Popovica had just 6 minutes. So Florida State had to play small the entire game. And, that paired with Indiana's depth is probably a long reason why they got out-rebounded 35-25.
But I also think going small, especially in the second half, going small helped the offense so much. Those first few possessions come out in the second half all ended in wide open threes because the spacing is so much better. And then on defense, they're swarming. They can switch everything, and they all have the length to where they can guard every single position. And Indiana's big men aren't that much bigger to where it was that much of a concern. They were just more physical, and that's definitely a concern. But going small definitely helped us in the second half. But, yeah, we want to see Balsa and Dominic really just command the middle. That's what we expect Florida State centers to do is command the middle, block shots, and grab rebounds. And they weren't doing it this game, and they haven't really been doing it all season, which really sucks to see.
And what do you think about the depth? Because, I mean, really, Florida State's one of those teams that can play so many guys where at the end of games, the first 5 guys that step on the court, they're still fresh. They still have some energy in them. But in this one, I mean, Indiana matched it with the amount of guys they were playing, and Florida State was probably about as tired as they've been in that last 8 to 10 minutes as they've been in a couple years.
Yeah, and part of the depth issues, I guess you could say, with Florida State is the coaching staff still trying to figure out how to integrate 6 new guys in the rotation.
Right.
That 5-minute stretch that was really working in the second half was Trent, Devin, MJ, Patrick, Malik. Patrick's the only new guy there, and he still hasn't seen the confidence you'd like to see from the staff. Malik had been there all last year, and then Devin was there all last year, and MJ and Trent are veterans at this point. So I think it's still the coaching staff is still trying to learn how to trust these new guys and how to integrate them right. And then whereas Indiana, these guys have been there with Archie Miller for a year. And what's helped Indiana is they still haven't played a road or neutral game. All 8 of their games have been at home, so they have confidence, and they're breeding off that confidence from the fans. And the fans were as rowdy I've seen in a Florida State game in a long time. And that obviously helps.
Yeah, I mean, there was almost 18,000?
Yeah, 17,000.
That's
something.
Insane.
And they were loud. They were throwing stuff on the court, apparently. They were mocking the war chain in the first half, which was a bold decision, and it almost cost them. But, yeah, I'm a little concerned about the depth, but I also know the coaching staff still trying to figure out a way to integrate it all and make it all make sense for everyone else.
Yeah. They're really just the perfect storm of events for Florida State in this one. I mean, some tough games before coming to Indiana, short travel week to come play the Hoosiers, and then also just a not very good offensive performance. I mean, Florida State, they've been shooting very well from the free throw line over the opening bit of the season. As good as I've seen Florida State shoot free throws in a while, but in this one they went just 7 of 16, 43.8%. And yeah, Florida State, the road struggles may be back, but we'll see. I don't want to call it just yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. Indiana's a tough place to play. That's one of the true blue bloods in college basketball, and that's a very hostile environment, as we saw. So I wouldn't say the road struggles are back. I mean, we saw against Florida, they won by 15 or whatever it was.
Right.
Well,
Florida's pretty much our home at this point.
Yeah, that's true. That's Doak South. Or not Doak South. Tuck South.
Tuck South.
Yeah, Tuck South. I'm sorry. So, yeah, we'll see. We don't have another road game for a while. I think the next one's actually Louisville in mid-January. So they'll have some time to rework the offense at home with a few games here. Next up against Clemson, and then I think you have North Florida after that, and then South Florida in the Orange Bowl Classic after that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, speaking of the Tigers, let's talk about a Clemson team that we can actually beat.
Yeah, Clemson sucks. We haven't been saying that about football, but yeah, basketball, they're not good at all. They've already lost 3 games, just 8 games in the year against Colorado, Virginia Tech, who wasn't supposed to be good coming in, but they're a little bit better now. And then
at Minnesota.
That's it. Recently. Minnesota was the other one. And then they went to overtime against TCU. This is not a good team. They're really bad. If they make the NIT, that's a good season for Brad Brownell and the Tigers. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is Brownell's last season, sadly, despite all the success he's given them. They're not a good team, though.
Actually, I don't mind Brownell. Actually, he's one of the coaches that I've liked.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
I don't really know why. I feel like Clemson, they typically do a pretty good job of playing Florida State pretty close, but the last couple of years, the matchups have just gotten farther and farther apart. I mean, they're in opposite directions at this point.
Yeah, my first year with the team, we 50-pieced them at home pretty much. I think it ended up being 48 because they scored a last-second basket. And then then Clemson was the Sweet 16 the next year, and then last year, Florida State dominated them again. And I expect that to be much of the same this year. I can't say it enough. Clemson's bad this year. They're so bad. Their leading scorer is Tevin Mack, who I think was at Alabama last year. He's averaging 13.5 points, but they're not shooting the ball well from 3, 34%. They're not shooting the ball well from the floor at 44%. Free throws are 68%. It's just, it's not a good team. It's really not. They're only scoring 72 points a game. It's a wrap already, I think.
Yeah, Clemson coming in to Tallahassee on Sunday at 2 p.m. for Florida State's conference home opener. Obviously, they've already played 1 game in the ACC. They lost to Pitt on the road to open the season, but this is the first time we'll get to see an ACC team in the Tuck this year. North Carolina will also be. I think North Carolina and Virginia will also be coming to Tallahassee this year.
I think it's North Carolina and Louisville. I don't know about Virginia.
North Carolina and Louisville. Either way, some pretty good matchups in the Tuck that are definitely going to be sold out and rocking. But Austin, let's talk about this one. It's probably not going to be as good of a game as Florida State versus North Carolina. What do you think? What do you think Clemson does the best? Like, what's an area that they could maybe excel at in this game to have an outside chance of upsetting FSU?
They're okay at taking care of the ball. I think if they keep those turnovers down, they really limit what Florida State can do offensively, because obviously we know Florida State does best when you get those easy steals and transition points. I think if they can take care of the ball, they'll improve their chances. But other than that,
they're just not high on Clemson, huh?
I'm not. I'm really not. And I'm looking at their college basketball reference page, my favorite basketball nerd site. They're horrible rebounding. They're below average with assists. They're below average in points scored per game. They're only allowing 63 a game, so it's probably going to be another ugly game. But Florida State usually excels in those ugly games.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a way Clemson could beat FSU. I was checking out their free throws because I'm like,
it's college basketball and anything can happen. Obviously, We've seen that with Purdue beating Virginia by 30, and Stephen F. Austin beating Duke, and Evansville beating Kentucky. So obviously anything can happen. But it's going to take
likely.
it's going to take a minor miracle, honestly. And you shouldn't be saying that about an ACC team, especially one of Clemson's stature that's had success. They were just in the Sweet 16 2 years ago, and
I don't want to
not even make the tournament.
Yeah, I don't want to open this up too far because I know we kind of want to wrap this up soon. But Austin, I saw you on Twitter the other day, and you were saying that the bottom 4 teams in the ACC shouldn't even be in the conference.
They need to stop. Just cancel the rest of the season. Boston College sucks. Wake Forest sucks.
Georgia Tech sucks.
I don't know how Josh Pastner hasn't been fired yet. Clemson sucks. Pittsburgh's not good, but they beat us, so.
Respect.
Syracuse hasn't looked great to start the season, which is surprising. They always seem to do decent enough. Miami hasn't been as good as I thought they'd be, but I think they just had a decent win recently. But yeah, bottom 4 of the ACC, just move to the Colonial, please. It's the only place to be competitive.
Miami almost choked that game away. They were up. I think they were 15? They were up by like 18 at half or 19 at halftime, and they ended up winning by 1 point.
I didn't see that. I would sell the halftime.
A pretty crazy finish.
Wow. Yeah, but just golly, the bottom 4 of the ACC sucks. If we don't win those games, just cancel the season. Honestly.
So yeah, let's go into it real quick, Austin. Give me your prediction for Florida State versus Clemson.
I think it's going to be uglier. I don't think it's going to be very high scoring, which is just a shame to see because I like to beat teams in orange by a lot. I'll say Florida State 71, Clemson 53.
All right, so I mean that's still kind of respectable, I would say.
It's almost a 20 piece.
Yeah, 18-point win. I can see kind of the same. I think Florida State, they'll probably win by a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and say 31, just because that's how much Clemson beat us in football by. So give me Florida State 81, Clemson 50 in a blowout in Tallahassee. Make it a hoop side blowout because we're not going to beat them in football for a while.
For a while.
Please.
It's going to be a minute.
It's going to be a little while. It's going to be a minute.
Well, Logan, do you have some trivia for us this week?
I have some trivia for us to finish out the podcast here. The segment is not going away. I think a lot of listeners enjoy it. So this is going to be our 3rd week of FSU trivia. We're going to test these 2 youngins and see what they know about Florida State and the history here. So this week on Here to Spears FSU trivia. Question number 3. It's a 1-1 tie here between Dustin and Austin. Here's the question. You know, I should work for Jeopardy. I'm doing pretty good, I got to say. Which team did Bobby Bowden coach for before he took the job at FSU in 1976?
West Virginia.
Yeah, that's West Virginia.
Ding, ding, ding. Both players are correct here. Look at this. Y'all did y'all's homework.
I mean, I think a lot of people know that one.
We had to start off easy for this week. We're gonna move on to round number 2 of week 3.
Oh, another question.
Round 2. That's what I like to hear.
Yep. All right, here we go. Make sure your hands are off phones and off the laptop or computer.
My laptop's broken.
I got my hand somewhere else.
All right.
Question two.
Okay. All right. Question number 2. Who was the leading scorer for FSU in the 1999 title season with 116 points?
Didn't we already do this one?
Yeah, I think you did this last week.
Nope.
Wasn't this the very first question?
I sure did not. That was about who had the most yards rushing.
I'm still going with Janikowski.
Yeah, Janikowski.
Ding, ding, ding. Wow.
I'm telling you, dude, this was the first question you ever did.
No, I think he asked this after the podcast. I think that's what it was.
It was after, I think.
Oh.
Possibly.
Yeah, I think you asked this after the podcast. That's when I went up 2-0 unofficially.
Either way, disappointing because now I know the answer.
Don't worry. I mean, I'm giving you the easy ones now. I'm trying to create some kind of competitiveness between y'all two because the first 2 weeks it wasn't that hard. So which made it a little bit difficult for you guys.
That was supposed to be difficult?
Well, that was easier than the first 2 weeks, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got anything else?
Yeah,
Here
what's
we
your
go.
fun fact this week?
This is a good one. Here's a good one. In 2001, this is question number 3. In 2001, which NFL team had 5 FSU players on their roster? And this also led the league.
Wait, what do you mean led the league?
So here you go. So that was just an extra fact on it. But in 2001, which NFL team had 5 FSU players on their roster? This led the league in the amount of college players on a team.
I got you.
Yep. In 2001, this is a good question. This is a fun one. I can't wait to see.
I think I have a guess. I'm going to go Baltimore.
In 2001, which NFL team had 5 FSU players on their roster? This number also led the league.
How about the Packers?
Beep. Wrong. Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Dude, that was my fucking guess. Damn
that was good. I was deciding between Baltimore and the Bucs.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Dustin, how you feel?
I was gonna say Tampa Bay, but I felt like it was too easy.
Oh, man. You missed out, man.
Cause I know Baltimore had Peter Boulware. That was too early for Dion. Dion got there like 03, didn't he? Dang.
Jeez.
Who are the 5?
We're going into round 4 of week 3's question of FSU trivia on Hear the Spear. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to Hear the Spear. This is great content for you guys.
Logan, can you tell us the 5 Noles that were on Tampa Bay or no?
I do not have that with me right now, sadly. I wish I could.
I'll look. Let me look it up.
Where are you stealing these questions from?
I know.
You know what? That's not for you to ask.
Over here thinking he's making them up while we're doing the basketball segment. He's just figuring out what he can copy and paste.
Yeah, that's probably what he was doing.
Obviously, I was looking at Rutgers clubs and there's something there. Seeing what I'm missing out on and why I went to FSU instead of Rutgers. All right, y'all ready for round 4? Is this round 4? Yeah. Y'all ready? Is Austin still looking up?
Yeah, I'm looking up. So you had Derek Brooks, obviously.
Yeah. Yep.
You had Work Done. Yeah.
Okay.
Dexter Jackson. Yeah. Scrolling through the roster. Okay, this one only says 3. So.
There was 5, I guess. But either way, that's what it is. All right, Austin, don't fight it. Here we go. Round 4.
He's giving us false questions.
I am not. No, I'm not. Y'all said
he researched your question. It was shit.
I mean, it could entirely be
It
could be inaccurate. I'm going to keep looking.
Yeah, y'all just do your investigation later. Here we go. Round 4. What NFL team did these former FSU players get drafted to? Peter Warwick and Ron Dugans.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati.
Ding, ding, ding. Good to see Dustin's copying Austin there because he answered that one right.
No, I was like going through my brain because I remember researching Peter Warwick in the NFL, and I remember him doing a punt return on Cincinnati. So.
Okay. We'll give you that one. That's fine. This is getting hard, y'all. Y'all getting me. I'm gonna have to find a really competitive one that y'all aren't gonna know.
Bro, we're locked up right now.
All right, here we go. Round 5, everybody. Man, this content's great here at Hear the Spear. This is great. Y'all are doing a good job.
It's like a boxing match.
I know.
Who's gonna win? Who's gonna take the lead 2-1? Who's gonna take it? Here we go on Hear the Spear FSU trivia. Who did Florida State play in the 1998 Fiesta Bowl?
Oh.
Hands off. I'm gonna start having to make y'all turn on the webcam so I can see y'all.
I'm still trying to find a 2001 thing, but I'll put my phone down.
Trying to think.
Who did Florida State play in the 1998 Fiesta Bowl?
Tennessee.
Fuck it, Nebraska.
We have a lead in the FSU trivia contest on Hear the Sphere. Austin Veazey.
Damn it.
2-1.
I knew it was either Tennessee or Oklahoma, and then I remembered Oklahoma was 2000, I think.
Taking the Tennessee pick here. Austin, how do you feel taking the lead on FSU trivia?
I feel like I'm ready to go to bed.
Dustin, how do you feel?
I mean, sometimes when you're the best, you don't come out on top. That's what we have here today. But, hey, the better team will win the battle, and that'll be next week. Come back.
Any kind of response to that, Austin?
No, other than that, I'm still only seeing 3 FSU players for the 2001 Tampa Bay Bucks.
Don't worry. One thing about that, don't worry about it. You only slept 3 hours last night, so you shouldn't even be worrying about that.
We've been on this podcast for almost 3 hours. Remember when Logan said 45 minutes?
Well, do you remember whenever good content comes out, we keep the good content coming? So
I fully expect to go up 3-1 next week.
Ooh, my.
I don't plan on losing another week.
Wow. Dustin.
Well, this Google boy. Don't worry.
Google boy. Yeah, no, we'll be having webcams on for the next trivia. We'll be keeping an eye on people's hands.
I can't believe I'm being accused of cheating for being smarter. This is wild.
I'm just making sure y'all aren't cheating over here.
Get us some basketball questions so I can actually.
I know. That's what I was thinking.
Here we go. Okay.
I was fully expecting one of them to be how many retired jerseys do we have?
Oh yeah. Okay, just making sure. All right, so y'all ready to end off the podcast with our fun fact of the week?
Oh God.
My least favorite segment of the week. Let's go.
Are y'all excited for this one?
This segment followed by the conclusion, it makes my ears bleed. But anyway, go ahead.
You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. So our fun fact of the day. There's currently a world record for the most people twerking simultaneously.
And can't even read.
So there's currently a world record for the most people twerking simultaneously. There's a world record for that right now.
All right, Floyd Mayweather.
From the article I'm reading, twerking is a booty-shaking move that you might have seen in music videos or a stage at a concert. And on November 15, 2014, 406 people came together with Big Freedia at the Central City Festival in New Orleans, Louisiana, to set the world record for the most people twerking simultaneously.
Oh, you got it right that time. Yeah, I mean, what do you want me to say about that?
I've never cared less about a fact in my life.
It were the first one I told y'all?
I actually cared about that one. I just hated it. This one, you said it 4 times, and I still have no feeling towards it whatsoever.
You don't care about 406 people twerking at the same time?
What if they were dudes?
If Jennifer Lopez wasn't part of it, no.
What if they were dudes? What if it's like a Jack Black figured man just, doing that thing at you?
Doing that thing at you? Jack Black?
Jack Black body. Jack Black body.
You have a problem against Jack Black. Got that noted.
I'm just, noting his figure.
I'm just saying, if you were to walk in and see 406 people twerking simultaneously with one another, what would
I'm guessing about 100.
Doesn't seem like that many. Honestly,
it honestly doesn't. That feels like a typical rap concert. I said funny.
It seems about your regular rap concert, huh? It's interesting. I don't know. I was just wondering if you were to walk into that, Dustin, and you saw that happening, like what your reaction would be, because obviously I'd be stranged out by it.
Well, I mean, if it's like, I don't know, if it's like any other scenario like that, probably 403 of those people were dudes and 3 were chicks. So.
What kind of parties do you go to?
Yeah.
Sausage party, bro.
Sausage parties? Okay. I've never been to those parties where 403 guys are twerking simultaneously, but I'm not probably going to be there for too long. But that's just me. That might be you, Dustin, but not me.
Like that Simpsons gif where the guy walks into the bar and just walks out.
Yeah, that's me, but you stay there.
Oh.
Okay, so yeah, I thought I would get that fun fact out there for you guys. Just told you all about the world record of the most people twerking simultaneously. So yeah, that's our fun fact of the week. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Next week on the podcast, we'll try to replicate their efforts. We're all going to twerk.
No, we won't.
By the way, the final answer for the 2001 team is 4, because I forgot Brad Johnson. So you were still wrong.
We'll see about that. That's still the most. So there we go.
Also, my cat just pissed on the sheets, so this is amazing. Can we wrap this up?
That's how. Just end it now.
No, I have to do my intro, which you gave me crap for.
Outro.
Dustin, so.
Outro.
Okay. You know what? Intro, outro, same thing. Thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. You can find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube. If you're on iTunes, feel free to rate us 5 stars. It helps a lot. Tell us what you like, and we'll try to continue doing it. You can find us on Twitter at Hear the Spear. In the description below, you can find the guys' Twitter. I have them listed below. You can go tweet at them and tell them how terrible they are on the podcast. They'll enjoy that. And yeah, we enjoy. Hopefully, we'll have some news on a new FSU head coach. As always, thank you guys so much for listening. We really appreciate you guys taking your time out to listen to us, idiots. And we hope to see you guys in the next episode next week. Y'all have a great one.